discuss Xhaka.
Raging I was. That reaction, it's not great from the fans, but they have to air their views somehow, fans, and that's the only way they know. And I don't think it's down to that situation only. I think it's down to him over the season and how he's performed. Carlton, would you be a little bit angry with your captain if he'd have done this? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Look, he's obviously emotional. We're all human at the end of the day. When you've got like 60,000 people booing you, it's gonna strike a chord.
Happens to me every week.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In your case, it's different.
And Carl, you've never been in that situation before, have you?
I have been in that situation.
You have?
Yes, at the start of my West Ham career. But every time I touched the ball, I got booed. But it's all right. You got to be a professional and be dignified in your way with it. But I would say that swearing and effing and blinding to the crowd is very touchy.
It's really hard as a teammate of somebody that does that, who sort of comes across like he's disrespected the shirt, and you're playing for the shirt, you're playing for the club, and it looks like he's disrespected the manager as well, which is a big no-no.
He didn't throw his shirt on the floor, though.
No.
And he didn't throw the captain's armband on the ground, did he?
He threw it towards somebody, but it ended up on the ground. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Carlton, 2 quick questions, and as brief as you can. Should he play again for Arsenal, which I feel is a bit of a hard question, but should he captain them again?
Well, this is again the dressing room. I think I think Emery made. There was a vote who should be captain in the change room. The change room voted that he should be captain. Yeah. And you can see, like, he does work for his players. Like, whenever there's, like, anything going on the pitch, he's first in there to try and separate it. Yeah. And any kind of, like, nonsense going on here, I think he'll be there. But for me, it's up to Emery to just understand what he feels is necessary for that team.
I mean, see, Cole, in those situations, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, in those situations, when things aren't going right for you as a player, whatever your job is as a player, try get back to doing that. When you were having a hard time, what did you do?
I just worked hard. I just made sure I worked hard.
Score goals?
Yeah, I scored goals. I done what I was supposed to do.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hold up play. You know what we do.
Yeah.
And people started to appreciate it again, and then that's what happens.
I have to say, though, there is an air of mutiny around at the Emirates at the stadium, because the fans were also chanting for Mesut Ozil to be reinstated. It just shows things aren't quite right at the minute. But look, listen, I know you're finding this a little bit
make your mind up, fans. Do you want him in or do you want him out?
But look, Crystal Palace got themselves back into the game. I mean, in the end, they picked up what was a very creditable point, but only after a penalty, which was deemed not a penalty by the on-pitch referee. And in fact, Zaha was given a yellow card. So what happened next, Chris?
Yeah.
How did you see it in normal play?
To be honest with you, I think it looked really theatrical. And I can see exactly why Martin Atkinson cautioned him for simulation, because it looks to all intents and purposes like he's dived. But because we've now got this situation where it is a potential penalty, the VAR will check it, and now you start looking and you're thinking, here we go, that's a penalty. And for me, that is a really, really good overturn by the VAR, and we've got the right outcome, because without VAR we wouldn't have had that. But what's interesting at the end, you'll see it checked, and Martin gives the penalty because that's what it says to the screen, and then he shows Will Zaha the yellow card and says it's expunged.
Yeah.
He did ask, didn't he? Zaha, what about the yellow card?
It doesn't happen now, that's rescinded.
Yeah, and that is the first time that we have seen a yellow card rescinded in this Premier League season.
That's right, yeah.
And then right at the end, Arsenal thought they'd won it through Socrates for his second goal, but it was ruled out.
Now, we've looked at this. I've looked at this, and to be fair to the eagle eye of the has-been referee over there.
No need for that.
He actually spotted something that none of us spotted. And over to you, sir.
Yeah, we'll just let it run on. So there's lots and lots going on here. There's a flick on of a header. Milivojevic goes to ground, the ball breaks, and Socrates thinks he's scored. Yeah. Goal scored, we're going to check it. Dion, can you just take it back from me, please? So what I want you to do is just let the ball out this way.
So we're to stop this.
We have to start talking about now. That'll do fine. So what I want you to do is just look. Can you highlight 4? Can you,
Where do you want to?
This guy?
Just touch him. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so what I want you to do is just keep your eye on Milivojevic. Don't look at anything else and watch what he does. At no time does he face the ball.
Let's back a little bit for you so you can see clearly what happens.
So what he does is, at no time does he pay any attention to the ball.
Yeah.
And he just pushes Callum Chambers out of the way. The ball's there for Callum Chambers to play. and he stands on his foot. Milivojevic goes down. The first bit that I've been talking about obviously hasn't been picked up because there's a lot going on, which begs the question, was this a clear and obvious error? That's the question, and then of course he scores. But the video assistant referee has seen the foul by Callum Chambers and think that's enough to chalk
But where's the
goal off.
foul? Where's the foul by Callum Chambers? Because he stood
I
on his foot.
can tell you where the foul is.
Yeah, he stands on his foot.
Yeah. It's not actually the initial standing.
Hold on, here we go. Let's
I just want to show you where
again. We'll let this first clip go through, and then I'll pause it on the next angle, and Chris will show you again the first foul.
Yeah.
If I can slow that down a
So
little
keep your eye on Milivojevic, number 4, top of your screen. He's not paying any attention to the ball. All he's
Just
got
there.
his eyes for Callum Chambers. He's not looking. He's not interested.
Yeah.
That's the push.
Just pushes him out the way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first. So that
Second one.
in itself is a foul. So what we're saying is, let it run on a second, because Carlton will talk about the next bit,
Which
and
bit?
I'll tell you what
Coley?
we're thinking.
So the ball's there for him to get. It's free ball. So there, that's not the foul for me when he stands on his foot.
Okay, so that bit of contact just there.
No, that's not a foul.
Nothing there at all.
No.
Okay, all right.
Run it on a little bit more.
Okay.
It's there.
There. That's the foul.
the foul for me.
Look at that for a position. Look at that. He's ready to dive. Look at him. He's off.
no.
He's ready to
That's
go.
the foul for me, and I think that's what they've
So
seen.
the question is, was that a clear and obvious error? I bet with these two guys now, you'd have wanted to see a goal there, wouldn't you?
I don't know why the referee just let it run out and then they scored anyway. So I didn't see the first part because I've got to say the push.
Yeah.
Not even look at the ball.
It's interesting. It's incredible when a player just doesn't look at the ball, but there's obviously tripped and a good spot by.
Which is incredible, isn't it? So between you three, you're saying there's no clear and obvious error, which means Socrates' goal should have counted. And if anything, you're saying, Chris, there was a foul in the build-up, which means that Arsenal should have had a penalty. Socrates didn't score.
Absolutely, and that just goes to show that we talk about clear and obvious. How long did it take us to actually break that down and go through it?
So that clears that one up, I think. Could Manchester United be looking at this last week as perhaps a turning point in their season?
I think Ollie's definitely looking at that. Great week for them. I think that was a great show of solidarity as well. And that's what I think they actually needed that game.
Yeah, point against Liverpool, I suppose, and win against Partizan
Exactly.
Belgrade, and then, against Norwich. But they, of course, you talked about the solidarity and the mental strength they had to show despite missing 2 penalties. They still came away with all 3 points. Both were awarded by VAR, and that's where we've seen this bar almost lowered this week compared to previous weeks. Can you give us your reading, first of all, why they were given? And Chris, do you agree with them?
I'll answer the second part.
So give me the first one.
First. Please,
Here
Dion,
we go.
because I just don't think this is a penalty. I just don't see a penalty in this situation. And Stuart Atfield, the on-field referee, has made a decision and gone, no, it's not a penalty. If anything, in my opinion, you guys will help me bet on this as centre forwards. I think James fouls Godfrey.
Just there.
You think it's the other way around?
Yeah, I do. I think he fouls him. And obviously the on-field referee
You can just see
said...
them coming together, can't you? I run it at normal speed so you can see it.
Yeah, I just think that... And the on-field referee, Stuart Atwell, says, no, it's not a penalty. So the question I'm asking now, has Stuart, who's got a view of this, and you can see him there in the bottom of your screen, made a clear and obvious error? I don't think he has. And for some reason, the VAR has looked at it and turned it over and given a penalty. I just don't think it's
Chris,
right.
what about this situation then? If I pause it, or try and pause it right there, I'll go back slightly, the next... There.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same call.
And look how far his foot is away, and look how.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, we saw in the Women's World Cup that VAR took care of goalkeeper movement. We know there's a law change in the summer that the goalkeeper has to have 1 foot on the line. But in European competitions...
That's contact. That is now contact.
Yeah.
And the referee...
He was just going to say, go on.
Yeah,
in the
but
Premier League.
in European competitions, the on-field team look after goalkeeper movement. And if you look at... I think you can see it now with the assistant referee, Richard West, at the bottom. I don't actually think he's looking at the goalkeeper.
He's looking at the penalty taker, isn't he?
It's...
So that should have been retaken?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But, I mean, don't get me wrong. We don't forensically examine 2 millimetres off the line.
Yeah,
or if your
Dublin
foot's in
does.
the air.
Yeah.
The detective does.
I'll tell you who doesn't like that penalty, and we're not going to watch it again, but you're not a massive fan of that little stuttering run-up, are you?
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, maybe I'm just old school. You know what I mean? But I saw it. I think I first saw it in a World Cup. I can't remember. I saw do it, and I was like, "Is that legal?" I'm not sure if you're allowed to break your stride before you go and take the kick. And everyone's doing it now. And
But they always miss.
Well, they don't always miss, but when they do miss it, it looks stupid.
Terrible, yeah. Second one.
This was a good use of VAR, though, for the second penalty.
VAR at its very, very best, because the referee gives a corner. So he knows the ball's hit the Norwich player, comes in off Fred, I think it's Campbell, and the referee gives a corner. Now, there's some appeals. The VAR will check it automatically, and this is where you'll see VAR at its very best, because we don't forget, again, we've got the new law change with handball.
Great punch.
Does the Norwich City player make himself bigger?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does he make himself
Yes, he
unnaturally
does.
bigger? Thank you, Dion.
Yes, he does.
Can you see it
does.
from another angle? Like, I'm not sure.
Well,
I read that on for you,
what was
Colin.
interesting, Carlton, with this, there was actually a camera on the edge of the penalty area to make sure that he was actually inside. You'll see it now. Watch him turn his body.
Yeah.
That is not a natural position.
So he's got that, he's got that arm there.
That has made himself unnaturally bigger.
Or maybe it's natural for him, though. Do you know what I mean? You don't know. You might go to the training ground and he jumps like that all the time.
That's a penalty. That's a penalty. Okay, we got that called. That's a penalty.
So that's
That is a great use of VAR.
definite pen.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is Man United's second penalty.
Yes, which doesn't go in. And Tim Krul, who I have to say had a terrific game because he made a blinding save towards the end as well. I mean, he did well there as well. That's now 5 missed penalties in 8 for United this season in all competitions. I mean, surely that's not good enough.
Well, it started from no one knowing who was taking the penalties, like, because I swear my team, I've put like the names down already. Everyone knows their roles, set pieces, and all that sort of stuff. But now, who took that again? Before it was Rashford, then it went to Martial. So no one actually knows who the penalty taker is.
You've got to know. Walking out on the pitch as a professional, regardless of what league you're in.
Yeah.
You've got to know who's in charge of penalties. Simple as that. First, second, third.
Interestingly, Scott McTominay scored United's 2000th Premier League goal. Do you know who scored their 4th? United's 4th at the other end of the spectrum?
Mr.
Detective appointment in the end then from Mauricio Pochettino. It was a great game over the 90-plus minutes. The intensity from both sides was simply incredible. But in reflection, that was a huge win for Liverpool. They saw that 8-point gap to City cut to 3 just before kick-off, didn't they?
It was a performance of an organised table-topping side that didn't do anything, particularly special. It was nice to see them just not panic when Spurs scored, and they just played. They knew they had the quality. Klopp didn't panic when Spurs scored as well, and I just think it's. I'm not going to say it was a performance of champions. It wasn't, not yet anyway.
Yeah.
But I just feel they never panicked, and they backed their own quality, and I think it comes from the manager saying, right, listen, it's fine, we're okay.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I was wondering, a lot of onus was put on Jurgen Klopp, even from Jordan Henderson, saying what is instilled in the players. But how much can the manager instill that mental strength to the players? Or is it on the players themselves to say that, look, we can do this?
No, I think definitely the manager's got a massive role to play to instill confidence in the player in the dressing room and all that sort of stuff. But yes, as a pro, you always have that self-pride that you want to go out there and do your thing and do it to the best of your ability. And I think they've got a mixture of both, and it's boding well.
Is this what happens when you win the Champions League? This gives you that extra belief?
Maybe the extra belief that you can not just beat Spurs, but you can beat anybody, really, because you are champions of Europe. And I just think, as Coley's just said, you've got to have it yourself as an individual. But when the manager keeps telling you, and you start to believe, and as collectively, they've become a very, very strong side with some very good footballers. Fullbacks, again, were just outstanding for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding.
And they needed that inner belief because not only did they fall behind after something like 45 seconds when Harry Kane reacted brilliantly for Spurs opener, but then Son had this terrific chance to make it 2-0 to the visitors. What could he have done differently in that situation, Carlton?
I think he could have rolled it more. Like, he didn't have to lift it, but even if he lifted it, he's put too much on it, So it's just the choice of wedge he pulled out. it was the wrong clubs. But I think like if he scores that, it's a different game, isn't it? And Tottenham would have been on the front foot.
If I'm in that position now, my left foot, I'm happy to hit the target.
Yeah. So you're rolling it. You're P-rolling it.
Oh, my left foot. I'm trying to get across my line to score.
Bad miss, though, for you, Dion.
A bad miss for me, only because it's a player of Son's quality. That's all. I think a lot of players would have found that difficult, but because I hold him in such high regard, and he's that good, that I expect him to score, and he will be disappointed that he
Well, I've done that before, and I've hit the side netting. Torres has done it as well. Remember, I get up at Man United or Chelsea, So it happens. But at least he hit the crossbar. Do you know what I mean?
But Jordan Henderson, of course, got Liverpool back into it with the equaliser, and it was the least they deserved at this point. Intriguingly, it was not the cleanest of strikes, but this could go down as one of the most important for them this season.
Yeah, for me, like, it's come off his shin, hasn't it? So, but as long as it goes in, it doesn't matter. It'll come off your rear, don't matter. You take the goal. Come off your shoulder, come off your hand, you still take the goal.
Yeah,
but for him, that was of importance for him as well, because he hadn't scored in 3 years.
Yes,
at home at Anfield, and that was a massive turning point for the team.
Particularly when it happened 4 minutes after
Exactly.
Son's miss.
Yeah, and that's for Henderson, being a right-footed player again, being slightly technical, but to score like that with your left foot, really difficult position to score from, really hard angle to score from. He made it look easy. It was a very good finish from the skipper, and I'm glad he's got his goal that he needed, because Liverpool looked to him. He's important to Liverpool.
Now, it's fair to say, James, that this was a busy weekend for the officials and for VAR. But, Chris, dare I say, what happened towards the end of that match at Anfield was probably one of the more straightforward decisions made by the on-pitch referee.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Taylor was the referee, vastly experienced. And when this challenge is made by Sergio Aurier, he doesn't blow his whistle straight away. You can see he just runs it through his mind. But because he's worked himself into a really good position, you can see it's a cracking spot.
Yeah.
It's a penalty. You see it right there. Yeah, I would check it, obviously, but he's not made a clear and obvious error. That's a penalty, isn't it?
So has he got himself to that, as in visually, so he can see what's going on?
What he's done is he's gone really wide to work an angle, so he gets in the optimum viewing position to make that call. And when it happened, he didn't blow his whistle straight away. He just runs it back through his mind. Have I seen it? Yeah, I have. And it's a great piece of refereeing.
There's no doubt over the eventual decision, though, was there?
Nah, just Sergio Aurier, unfortunately, made a couple of silly mistakes. That's another desperation tackle there, and then he didn't see Mane coming in, and that's just not being aware of your surroundings.
You see, Mane did that also against Leicester City. Mark Albrighton didn't see him coming down his blind side. It was just almost...
He's so quick at the end of the day, so, like, it's just put Aurier in a bad position. He's gone to kick it. I think he's honestly gone to kick it as well.
Oh, yeah.
But he's so quick, he's got in front of him and it's taken him out.
Agreed.
Nervous
Wasn't a great pen, that, by the way.
Why not?
Wasn't a great pen, that, I don't think. It was just next to the goalkeeper's left leg.
Yeah.
So I thought he got kind of lucky there. The keeper didn't dive because he's thinking it might go down the middle. It did go down the middle.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't react quick enough. I think it was a poor pen.
What is interesting now is that there's a bit of a conundrum facing Jurgen Klopp. Fabinho has himself 4 yellow cards. They've got Arsenal in the League Cup in midweek. Does he play him, considering what's happening after, which is Villa? Because following the Villa game in the Premier League,
yes.
he's got Manchester City. So, to add to the kind of conundrum is the fact that in every game that he started in the Premier League for Liverpool, Fabinho, that's 30 games, he's won every one.
Wow.
Has he?
Or won 25 or drew 5. He's not lost one of them.
That's what do you do? Carlton, what do you do?
For me, I'd trust the player. He knows what the scenario is, but it is a difficult one, but you don't want to lose momentum. And I think I would trust in my player to not get into trouble, basically. Okay. I would. Right. I'm not sure.
So, okay.
Because if you ask the player, he's going to say he wants to play, innit?
Of course he is. Yeah. I mean, as players, we want to play, of course.
Yeah.
It might be taken out of his hands. It might be taken the cabinet. Listen, you're not playing. Let's leave it. We need you for City. But if the question is asked, then without a doubt, he will be playing all the games.
He has been brilliant for them. The fact that they conceded those 2 late goals, which says a lot about the mentality that he's engendered in that dressing room. But Christian Pulisic, I mean, it's been such a... He started at first in the Chelsea first 11. We didn't see him for 5 games. Made his first start in 6 and announces his arrival, Carlton, in some style.
Yes, it's a bit like Perez for Leicester. Now he's just got his hat-trick, he's got going, and I'm looking to see a lot more of him and going forward. They say he scored the perfect hat-trick. It was just the first one here.
What a goal.
What a goal. Step over, wash left foot, through the legs. Unstoppable.
It's not bad that, because he's got a lot to do still.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to do. It was a bit of fortune with this one, of course it was. But he gives himself a little bit of space and, he should have been closed down a lot long before that, but got a big deflection off me, but this one's the one.
I love this header.
You like this one, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's so unorthodox, the way he tries and gets his head to it to loop it into the far post.
Yeah, I think that's a great header. I was just saying I've scored something similar to that.
Yeah.
And I've had neck pain afterwards. But it's come off for him. My one went into Rosie.
Which, to be honest, where we thought Jay Rodriguez's shot was going to go at one point, but the way it dipped in under the
but he's got that in the locker, Jay,
hasn't he? Callum Hudson-Odoi, Chris, was adjudged to have dived by the on-pitch official. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, I did. I mean, Michael Oliver gave a penalty.
Well, he gave a pen, sorry, but VAR overruled.
He gave a penalty, and obviously it's checked, as we know. And he goes down there. He's simulating an act to try and win a penalty. Now, some people will say, well, he was touched in his back, but what has he tried? He's lifted both legs off the ground there, and has he tried to deceive the referee? Well, I think he has, yeah. And to get a yellow card there is no surprise to me. I think that is a good decision.
What about that push from Loughton with his left hand?
I think he's pushed him.
You do?
For me, I think he's pushed him. Looking at it back, I think he's pushed him. But, because that's what he says, he's pushed me, ref. And the only thing he could do is go down, because I think he was going to go down anyway. He was waiting for the first contact.
Yeah, he was.
Then he got the push in the back.
Is there no... I'm speaking to the people in my ear now. Can I say that again, please? Because I'm pretty sure... Is there no contact on his right foot? Hudson-Odoi, if you watch Hudson-Odoi's right foot, just watch his right foot, nothing else. If you can get it, watch his right foot there, watch. There, see?
Yeah. It's a rub.
See, well, no, watch his right foot. Hits his left. He gets kicked.
It is, yeah.
Watch, he gets kicked. There. He gets kicked on his right foot.
Yeah, because he got pushed.
Yeah, because there's push.
Well, it's not I don't think that's a penalty. But if he wasn't cautioned for simulation, you'd be happy with that, wouldn't you? I think it's the fact he got a yellow card. And
Exactly.
I think that compounded it, didn't it?
It wasn't necessarily a yellow card.
Well, what they've got to decide is, has he intended to deceive the referee? And I think it is a yellow card. I don't think that's an incorrect decision.
Okay. Not clear and not obvious. Not quite sure where that leaves us. Considering it was 0-0 against Villa at half-time, this second goal we could talk about for the rest of the programme. Before we get the likes of Quincy and Kojak to kind of put their forensic...
We're going back now.
Yeah, we are. To put their forensic view as to what happened. Chris, talk us through the initial outcome, which was the goal being credited to Kevin De Bruyne.
Absolutely. This ruined my Saturday afternoon, to be honest with you. Because when I thought everything was tickety-boo, it all went wrong. But Detective Inspector Dublin and I are going to talk you through. So what happens is, Kevin De Bruyne gets the ball, and as he sort of whips it in, you'll see Raheem Sterling and David Silva, who are both in an onside position. Now, because a goal is scored, it's one of the 4 criteria that we check. So the VAR looked at every available angle on the afternoon, and there was no footage that showed David Silva had touched the ball.
Okay, so we have Raheem Sterling.
Onside.
David Silva.
Onside.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So the official verdict is it's not touched anybody and gone straight in.
It's gone straight in the goal. Now, had David Silva had touched it, you can see Raheem Sterling is impacting on the goalkeeper by clearly obstructing his line of vision. But with all the footage available on the afternoon, there was nothing to prove that David Silva touched the ball.
That touch there, nobody's seen.
Nobody
in
saw.
In the VAR booth, with all the cameras, they didn't see the touch.
No one saw a touch.
So can we clear this up?
Okay.
Do those in VAR have extra angles available to them? Or do they see what we see?
They have every angle available that the broadcasters have. So they can look at every angle that is available to them on the afternoon. And that's exactly what they did.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, hang on now. Before you get to this bit, according to the referee,
let me take it.
According to the official on the pitch, that's down as a Kevin De Bruyne goal.
Absolutely correct.
Then, a couple of hours later, the goal accreditation panel, which is an independent panel, I have to stress that, nothing to do with VAR, they decided that the goal would go to David Silva because they saw a touch by the Spaniard, which, again, slightly muddies the water because if it is then awarded to David Silva, the goal shouldn't have been given. because Raheem Sterling was stood in an offside position, right?
Yeah.
And there's a massive giveaway. Is David Silva saying to the referee, "It touched my leg"?
Hang on.
He told
Hang on.
He's going off celebrating.
I'm not trusting you players.
Yeah.
But okay. Look, if we have a look at right, just watch the football. Watch nothing else. Please, just watch the ball. Nothing else. Here we go. I'm going to roll it on slowly.
Hang on, Detective Inspector. Did you see David Silva touch the ball?
From watching this, I did. From watching this clip, I did.
Are you sure?
And you just said you saw the ball spin differently. You didn't see the contact.
Well, it can only spin differently if the ball's touched.
But you've got to prove it.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Chris.
He had that ready for about
He did,
hours.
yeah.
I did, yes.
Okay, there was a penalty shout for Aston Villa, which was not given, nor was it referred. Should it have been given?
I don't think it should have been given. Chris, it's difficult. It's a difficult one for the referee.
It is
very difficult.
It was quite funny because Carlton was watching this with us before, and he was like, "I don't want to be a VAR," because there's lots going on here. But as the clip runs on, it's just sort of a collision between a goalkeeper, an attacker, and two defenders. And obviously, because there's a potential penalty, it's going to be checked. But you'll see in a second. You're thinking, what's actually gone on here? Is it clear and obvious? No, it's not. You'll see a touch in a second there.
Yeah, it's good defending actually. I hadn't seen this in normal time. I hadn't seen it at all. Coley, it's hard to see in normal time.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't have known what to do there for me because and I feel sorry for the referee there, and I feel sorry for VAR too. But in normal time, you're not going to know what's going on there.
No.
There's so much going on.
Exactly, it was good defending.